What's going on, y'all? Machiavelli Mills TV. So, today we're going to talk about the O Block 6. Now, I've expressed to y'all that I'm very careful about how I report on Chicago street news because I'm still living in Chicago, right? So, I can't, it's certain stuff I'm not going to say, but you're going to get the message still, right? Because I'm still moving and grooving throughout the city. I'm not put up somewhere far away from the city, right? But for those who don't know, the 6 young men have been convicted of unaliving FBG Duck, a Chicago drill rapper who is legendary in the drill scene. This murder happened in 2020, I believe, and now they've been convicted and sentenced to they've received mandatory life sentences. And this whole situation is just sad all across the board. You got a young man who was making strides in his career, who was finally starting to get the success he was trying to achieve for a while. He gets gunned down. He's a father of, I don't know how many children Doug has, but I know he has a nice amount of children, right? He's a son. He is now deceased, and his mother has lost a significant amount of children during her lifetime. And now he is deceased as well, adding to the total of children that she's lost already. Then you have 6 young men who go and take his life, right? And now they're facing the consequences of that. And their consequences of that is that they no longer have a life now. And this is the result of an alleged war between certain neighborhoods in Chicago, certain gangs in Chicago, butting heads for a long time. Y'all, this is another cautionary tale of why gang banging, it never goes well. I lived in Chicago all my life outside of the years I went to college. I never joined a gang. And they've been in my neighborhoods. I done lived everywhere from 48th in Indiana to 65th in Minerva. I done lived on 65th and Low in Inglewood. I done lived on 87th Street in Chatham. I done lived on 104th right off Morgan in Washington Heights. I done lived everywhere on the South Side, not West Side. So when I say everywhere in Chicago, I meant to say everywhere on the South Side of Chicago. I done lived almost in every different neighborhood you can think of, right? My family been in all different type of neighborhoods. My grandmama, my auntie now, my cousins now, you know what I mean? I didn't went to visit them. But I never fell into the pressure of joining no gang. Because at a young age, I understood what came with it. And I was made aware of the reality of that from my uncles, my father. You see certain stuff happening to shorties in your neighborhood. Shorties I went to school with lost their life. I got friends I went to school with who are no longer on this earth due to gang violence. I got friends who I went to school with, people that I know that I went to school with. I ain't gonna say they were just necessarily friends, but I was cool with them. Some of them still doing 20 years in jail off of gang activity, actions that came with gang activity. And when you're involved in certain stuff in the streets, it's a shelf life on being a gang member. Either you're going to end up deceased or you're going to end up in jail. There's no way around that. Now, you got mandatory life sentence, I believe, means that you're going to die in jail. You're going to die in prison. And a lot of the men that I'm talking about, the 6 men who have been convicted, majority of them, like at least five of them aren't even 30 years old yet. They're in their early 20s. And they already been in jail for about 2 years now. So just imagine being 22 years old, you going to jail, you got life, you spending the rest of your life in jail around nothing but men. You gotta get permission to see your family. You gotta get permission to go to take a shower, to go use the phone, to go outside. You gotta get permission to when you can come out the cell. You gotta get permission to eat. All of these different things, you getting regulated on how much you can eat and how much you gotta pay extremely high prices what your family does. It's causing them a burden to even talk to you on the phone. They gotta pay for that. They gotta put money on your books, so now your mama or your people gotta work extra hard, extra overtime to make sure you okay in there, and you become a burden to your family, man. It's really, really, it ain't no way to live. A lot of them young men don't even have children. So at that point, your legacy on this earth not gonna continue. And when you get in jail, and this is what I want people to understand too, in jail, first of all, federal prison, man, people getting appeals and all that and winning, the chances of that are extremely slim. When you go into federal prison, they are trying to book you to where nothing can be reversed, none of that. They're not for it. And even my uncle told me and that allegedly, like, he heard that NASA got the footage of them leaving Old Block, Parkway Gardens, going downtown and coming back. The NASA footage caught them doing that, right? So the government watching you when you out here thinking that they not, and you being slick. Truthfully, I think the worst thing that could have happened was that Duck was killed downtown. First of all, the worst thing that could have happened was him being killed. But the worst thing that they could have happened for those young men charged with the murder is it happened downtown in broad daylight. Chicago care about downtown being a war zone. They might not care about the south side being a war zone or the west side, but downtown for sure, because it's stopping what? The money. It's stopping tourism. It's getting people scared to come here because they think, oh my God, the violence is now downtown. Chicago not having that. The Fed's gonna get involved to nip this in the bud and make sure the individuals responsible go to prison and hopefully for the rest of their life. And so at that point, you in jail and the gang banging don't stop. You can't stop being a gang member when you get sentenced. From what I hear and from people that I know that been to prison, it get worse in jail because now you still gotta stand on certain things you said in songs, certain things you thrown up in pictures, certain captions you put up on social media, certain things you done on the streets, you still gotta stand on that. And that causes you to have to commit more violence to stay alive, which gives you more time tacked on to your prison sentence already. You catch a knife case in there, something happen, they giving you 10 more years, all of that, just like it's a trap. It's a trap to stay in there. So that's why you don't want to go in the first place, especially for things that you can really, really, really control for real. I mean, we can control a lot of it, but like going to murdering somebody, taking somebody's life, man, come on, man. None of us are God. Can't be playing God taking a life. It comes with vile consequences, man. And I don't think people recognize that until I don't care what nobody say. They can rap how they rap on these songs. All the rappers in Chicago can rap all the tough lyrics and talking about how they know what come with it. And they all talk about how they willing to die for this. They willing to get a life. They know what come with it. They willing to go to jail for all these years because they know what came with gang banging when they started. They all can talk all of that until they hear that they got 40 years in jail. I promise you they tune gonna change. Even if they don't do it publicly, they in jail crying their eyes out. When ain't nobody watching them, they contemplating their life. Because ain't nothing like I heard people, you in jail, you got 30, 40 years, you having dreams that you outside and you enjoying that dream. You wake up to a cold cell and you recognize you still up in there. That ain't a reality most people deal with, man, want to deal with. I got a family member in jail right now doing 60 years in jail, right? This is somebody I love doing 60 years in jail. He has children. Come on, man. That is no way to live your life. That is no way to live your life, man. And that is, to me, I feel like when a person, and then we have children, they're at a disadvantage in this world because children need their fathers. Children need their fathers for guidance. And I have seen people that I know go to jail, men, and when they go to jail, their children fall into the streets. So there's no one to steer them away from prison, to steer them away from the obstacles and the hardships that they had that they went to. There's nobody to keep them off track because even if they got other family members, ain't nothing like your father telling you what you need to be doing. Ain't nothing like the authority from your father. A lot of men, whether they black or white, we grow up wanting approval from our fathers. We grow up idolizing our fathers. Even if you don't know your father, you want to have that relationship with him to get that approval. You want that bond from that man, you know? And when it's not there, You try to bond with your father in other ways, doing bad, heinous stuff that you heard he did in the street. Trying to be an animal, a savage, a demon, whatever they call it, like your father used to be in the street, and then you end up being right there with him in prison. I think about the movie South Central. OG Bobby Johnson. OG Bobby Johnson went to jail, banging the Deuce, the fictional gang Deuce in there. He went in there gang banging out. He got up in there with the Muslims. He started seeing life for what it really was, and what the gang, how destructive the gang was for him, them pushing dope, how it made his own friend, Loco, an addict. And now the dude he used to be running with was out there having his son gang bang and being a criminal while he's in jail, and he can't protect his son and teach his son righteous ways. And this is what happens to some of the men who may have children. You know what I mean? You got a little son, they going off the deep end because you're not there to guide them. That shit, man, I'm telling you, that game, it's a shelf life with all that shit, man. I didn't heard of my people that I know going to jail, and you in jail now. Now you in there got the rumble because they didn't put you on the wrong deck with gang members of the opposition. Now you got a rumble. Now you in there fighting for your life because you know them dudes in there is on your head because they heard what you said. They heard all the disrespectful stuff you were saying and doing, things that you've done, captions you put up on pictures, all of that, and now they're going to make you stand on that. It's not a jail. It's not a fun place to be. You know, and it's really, really sad. Because, again, a lot of these young men are young. They're super young. I say a lot of these young men are young. These dudes in their early 20s. Their life gone. But they threw their life away the day they decided to, allegedly. You know, some people would say you can't say alleged because it's on camera. You know, I never saw the video, but, you know, I'm trusting people's words. But we'll just say for the sake of this video, allegedly took that man's life, and now you dealing with the consequences. None of them dudes want to be in jail 40 years, man. I don't care what none of them talk about. They can act hard all they want to. That's not a reality they want to deal with, man. It don't feel good. You in jail and you missing birthdays. You missing family functions. Your little brothers and sisters getting older. Your mother getting older. Some of them, they mother unfortunately, some of them mothers gonna pass away while they in jail, right? I got a homie, a friend of mine, childhood friend. He went to prison. He's raised by his grandmama. His grandmama passed away while he was in jail, and it broke his spirit, man. He got out and went to work and is doing excellent now and made something of his life and doing well. But he realized the error in his ways when he got locked up, in his grandmother, he couldn't even go to his grandmother's funeral. He couldn't, you know what I mean? He couldn't even make amends and tell his grandmother sorry the way he wanted to because he was in jail when she passed away. And then all your loved ones going to be passing away while you in jail, and there's nothing you can do. You can't see them. You can't console your family members physically. It's a terrible feeling, but these are the consequences of gang banging and murder. Nothing good comes out of it. Nothing but destruction and more horror and just terrible feelings.